The DuQuoin State Fair has long been a home to the Monsters of Destruction. This massive state fair complex sits the Southern Illinois Center, an indoor dirt track that does little to separate the massive machines from their speedway roots. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Friday night inside the Southern Illinois Center in DuQuoin as the Illini crowd gets ready for monster truck qualifying on the Chicago-style course, one truck at a time, and it will start with the man from right down the road in Missouri, Yuri, driving the Utah-based tremendous ground speed into the final leg. An impressive pass to set the pace for the rest of the field. 15.906 seconds will be the pace that this man has to go after. One of the guys who won here last year, Cory Snider, out of Baltimore, Maryland, in the Warp Motorsports Illuminator TMS Signature Series Heavyweight Champion. Tremendous dirt track effort pushing the truck across the finish line, and he will take over the number one spot at a 15.832 second elapsed time, so he just bypasses Kamikaze. And you can see right here, this truck really sticking to the track here tonight. This machine into the 13,000 pound range, but really taking to this track quite well. Cory Snider, who had taken a hiatus before this weekend, has a couple of months off behind him. He says he's a little rusty, but he does not look rusty after qualifying. Now the Illini, Brad Shippert out of Dixon, Illinois, and against the grain. Little bit conservative, it looks, through the first turn as he's trying to feel this truck out after doing some suspension work following a previous weekend with the Monsters of Destruction in Madison, Wisconsin, and he'll run a 16.873 second run. But again, just feeling the truck out here for this weekend. I guarantee you he is going to get faster as the weekend goes on, but runs a nice pace, a solid run. No real troubles there as another guy who's going to be kind of shaking things down here tonight, Dan Donnelly out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey, your old buddy, now at the wheel of Toxic. He's not new to the wheel of a monster truck, but this is his first time behind the wheel of this machine. Tremendous final leg for him as well, but a 16.33 second elapsed time will put him into third place for the moment. You can see he was very quick around this course, maybe a little bobble right there. He was just the inside of the jump, but it actually set him up nicely for the final corner as the legend of monster trucks in this field comes out. Former Gravedigger driver Rod Schmidt out of Charles City, Iowa, Redneck Rampage. Looked a little conservative through there, but he is getting through this course very quickly. Downsided the penultimate jump there of 15.771 will put him in the number one spot as our final machine rolls into stage for qualifying, and that will be another Utah-based Team Throttle monster machine being piloted by Tim Hall Jr. out of Cadillac, Michigan. Another heavyweight monster truck on the circuit. Very aggressive first leg. Smooth through the final corner, kind of a right angle corner into the final jump, of 15.671 second run by 1/10 of a second. He takes over the number one spot. So Tim Hall Jr. will try to carry that momentum on into tonight's racing action. We're just getting things started here on Friday night. Stay with us. More Monsters of Destruction coming at you from the Southern Illinois Center.
This presentation is brought to you by Monsters Monthly, your place for photos, videos, event info, and all the happenings in the monster truck industry. Visit monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For a weekly look inside the wide world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. Available on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. This program is brought to you by RPM Army. For a wide array of content from across the motorsports world, visit rpmarmy.com. Your high-performance fix on the go.
Back inside the Southern Illinois Center in DuQuoin, Illinois, getting ready for round one of Chicago-style monster truck racing with the Monsters of Destruction. But before we bring you that action, we are going to take a look back at some highlights from our two-wheel skills competition that opened up in fine fashion with that gentleman right there, the Missouri driver Joe Yuri at the wheel of the Utah-based Kamikaze Ford. First of the two-team throttle monster trucks, and he was very impressive as he set the pace for the gentleman behind him. That would be Brad Shippard, and against the grain, again, kind of a shakedown night for him, but believe me, he and this guy right here, Daniel Donnelly, are going to be threats before the end of this weekend. And of course, as I mentioned, former Gravedigger driver, former Monster Mutt driver, he drove Monster Patrol, he's driven a myriad of trucks, and he's been in independent mode on and off throughout his career. Rod Schmidt opting for the donuts here, but the man of the hour, Tim Hall Jr., Jurassic Attack, out of Utah. Tim out of the state of Michigan taking the two-wheel skills victory, so he is 1 for 3 in competitions here this weekend in terms of determined competitions as we take a look at the round one bracket going into monster truck racing. Redneck Rampage will take on Toxic right off the top. Then it'll be Illuminator against Kamikaze, a pair of heavyweights, dead center of the bracket, and what looks like a lopsided matchup, but again, don't count out Brad Shippard, Jurassic Attack, going after against the grain. Now as Daniel Donnelly stages Toxic for round one over here on the side nearest to us. Going to go against that guy right there, Redneck Rampage, and two trucks that in terms of their build are not that far apart in generation, but two disparate drivers in terms of generation. Can Daniel Donnelly knock down the legend of monster truck racing, Rod Schmidt? Donnelly very aggressive. They're about together. Donnelly though faster into the final turn, but he's got problems. He misses the final ramp, and Rod Schmidt will pick up that victory. Consistency is much a part of the game as being first to the finish line. And unfortunately for Donnelly, the truck washed out in the final turn, and it cost him what looked like it was going to be a very impressive victory. Watch him as he comes around here. The back end washes to the right. The front end points left. He gets on the throttle, and I think he thought with the locker in the front it would pull him out. It did not. Instead, it drove him right off the track into about center track there as he went over the Pro Tough Trucks course. It will come into use a little bit later tonight. Now as the team truck to Toxic, Cory Snider, who won with that name on that truck, now dressed up as the Illuminator, He has won on this track before. Snider loves this track. He was waiting all winter to come and race here. He stages against Joe Yuri. Again, a pair of heavyweights, two machines in about the 13,000-pound range, going after each other here. The two trucks that have been very fast so far tonight qualifying. Snider with about a half-length lead going into the final turn. And he will pick up about a truck, maybe a truck and a half length victory at the finish line. So an impressive drive for the Big Blue Ford out of Baltimore. Cory Snider in the Illuminator, giving it everything it had. And again, he really loves running here. It's a tight space, but you can really open it up. The dirt has just enough bite. You can keep the truck going forward. You don't slide out too much, but it breaks loose. You don't run the risk of high-siding. You can really leg these motors for how tight a space this really is. As our final pair comes up, there you see Tim Hall Jr. taking on Brad Shippert in Against the Grain. Shippert not looking too bad coming off the line, but a little bobble right there inside on the corner, and that's going to hurt him as he bounces off the second jump. Tim Hall Jr. going to walk into the next round with Jurassic Attack. And I do believe the fast loser is going to be Joe Yuri in Kamikaze, in which case, and we'll see right here, yes indeed, it will be Jurassic Attack teammates going at it. Jurassic Attack and Kamikaze on the bottom of the semifinal round ladder, and Redneck Rampage going against another member of the Warp Motorsports team. He took out Toxic in round one. Going to go after Cory Snider in the second round. Now, kind of a quick exhibition round of Pro Tough Trucks. We were supposed to have a full fleet, but there was a massive snowstorm on the other side of Kansas City. So a big chunk of our competitors got iced in over there coming back from another event. So now, Jason Bono and Mike Mozzie, who we'll see in a minute, are all alone out here, giving you a taste of what we will be seeing on Saturday night with the Pro Tough Trucks. But Bono looking impressive. He is quick. And the two trucks that are here tonight are two trucks that love to fly high as he crosses the finish line. 28.572 seconds to set the pace for the man behind him, that being Mike Mozzie out of Presidio, Missouri in Mozzify. A little Chevy love with the independent front suspension, and he's done some work on this thing since the last time we saw it. It looks a little bit different. It looks like the front end's riding just a little bit higher than it did last year. We'll see how it handles. Was never really afraid to fly this truck, but it looks like it's a little bit more stout. It might take a bigger jump, and he does so very quick. See where he ends up again. Just two guys going after each other right here on the floor of the Southern Illinois Center. 29.350, not going to take over the number one spot from Jason Bono, but again, this is sort of an exhibition to give you a little bit of a taste of what we'll be seeing when those guys who are iced in on the other side of the state line make their way over to the arena tomorrow for the Saturday night competition as we bring the big boys back to the track. Illuminator, Cory Snider going up against Rod Schmidt in the Redneck Rampage, and these guys have a score to settle from last year outdoors from right here in Illinois. They were in Princeton, Illinois. They battled on a straight line track outside. Cory Snider won one of those races. The second of those races was won by that man, Rod Schmidt. This run right here could settle that score, or it could just prolong the battle. We'll find out. Illuminator and Redneck Rampage for the semi. Schmidt, conservative but quick, and it's working for him. Snider gonna have to drive hard in the final corner. He's got the lead, and he hangs on to it. Schmidt really coming after him on the final drive, but the victory will go the way of the Big Blue Ford. Out of the old line stage, so Illuminator into the championship round. Who will he face? One of the two Team Throttle Monster trucks. It will either be Tim Hall Jr. in Jurassic Attack, guy he'd love to get a shot at here, or the guy he beat in round one, that being Joe Yuri in Kamikaze. The pair of Throttle Monster trucks out of Utah. Pretty evenly matched machines, different chassis builders, but very similar builds. This one built by Eddie Micah. Get a good look at how these guys stack up. Who will it be in the championship against Illuminator? Will it be Kamikaze or Jurassic Attack? Little bobble for Yuri right there. The problem for Tim Hall. He missed that second ramp. So did Yuri, though. Who was at the finish line first? They both missed a ramp. That means it's still just going to be whoever made it to the finish line. We wait to find out. Tim Hall heading back to the pits. It will be Kamikaze, so it's going to be Illuminator and Kamikaze for the championship and racing when we come back to DuQuoin, Illinois.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're gonna go down memory lane.
It is time for the championship monster truck race here with the Monsters of Destruction from DuQuoin, Illinois. Tim Hall Jr. and Jurassic Attack has won the two-wheel skills competition, got knocked out in the semifinal round by that man right there, Joe Yuri, his teammate in Kamikaze. Yuri comes to the line to do battle with a guy who won here last year, Cory Snider in the Illuminator. The TMS Signature Series machine that debuted at the tail end of the 2020 season in the state of Georgia. Truck based out of Maryland. The man from Missouri across track from him driving Kamikaze. That truck based out of the Team Throttle Monster Camp from the state of Utah. This should be a pretty even matchup. Here it is, the Monster Truck final, and Snider gets away quick. Yuri appears to have been sleeping on the starting line. Snider will hold the lead to the end. A very uncharacteristic start for Joe Yuri. Snider was ready for that green light, and he took full advantage of it. Cory Snider in Illuminator picking up an impressive victory. He was so fast on that green. And that dirt tracking is just working so well for him. He keeps telling me he's rusty after being off for so long. He does not look rusty at all. Doesn't have to knock much dust off of that thing to be impressive here this weekend. Now as we go back to our Pro Tough Trucks Expedition, brought to you by Oasis Outdoors. Jason Bono going to take a second shot at the course to try to cement himself into that number one spot over Mike Mozzie, and then Mozzie will take a shot at Bono. The Bullnose Ford making its way around the dirt oval. Final corner, front end pulling hard. You can see the tires wiggling around on him there as he crosses the finish line, and he went faster. 27.586 second elapsed time for the bright orange Ford out of Pierce City, Missouri. Now as the competitor, Mike Mozzie, comes up to stage, and I mentioned before there is a full field of these guys that will be here tomorrow night. Hopefully some of the ice and snow will blow off. Beautiful weather when we rolled in this afternoon, and then the cold air started to make itself apparent, and in fact it's now snowing outside of this building. So we're going to keep moving things along very quickly now to try to get the fans home before the ice and snow really set in and cause any problems. But right now, Mike Mozzie and Mozzified running inside the nice, warm Southern Illinois Center here on the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. Mozzie can be very quick. He may use tonight just to feel the track out. I have a feeling he really is treating this as an exhibition pass, although he's not going slow. I know that truck's got more in it. Dual rear tires digging in as he drives to the finish line and slides to a stop. Mike Mozzie and a little primer Chevy Love at 29.503. So Jason Bono will be your exhibition champion, but it's still a victory for the man in the bright orange Ford, who also brought the ride truck in here this weekend. So big thanks to Jason. As I said, we're moving things along quickly to beat the snow now. Here comes Brad Shippert in against the grain out of Dixon, Illinois, carrying the colors for RC Fest, reminding you to donate blood. RC Fest for a good cause. Check those guys out, and we'll put their information in the description down below. But right now, starting off freestyle, Brad Shippert in the bright green machine from right here in his home state of Illinois. Interested to see how hard he goes, considering the problems that he's been having with the rear end, the rear shocks of this truck. And it's nothing too bad, it doesn't seem, but the rear shocks don't seem to be coming back up. He's really had an issue where the rear end will get slammed and those rear shocks will stay compressed. They never re-expand. And part of that problem, it could be the air springs. This is one of the few trucks still running air springs. It runs one shock per corner and one air spring per corner, but doing a nice job there. He got some big air and it looked like it soaked it up, so maybe that problem is starting to dissipate. Slinging the soil here in DuQuoin. The home state favorite, looking awesome there and against the grain. Again, took over this ride from Doug Nolke, who ran it as Big Dog for many, many years. Then it ran as Smashosaurus. And when Doug sold his first ride here, Brad jumped at the opportunity to own one of the best trucks on the circuit at the time. It's still a solid piece. A lot of people telling him, change this, change that. Brad's one of those guys, says if it ain't broke, why fix it? And he's looking good here tonight in DuQuoin, setting the pace with some big hang time and some nice wheelies. I don't know that that's going to hang on for a victory, especially with a field of trucks he's got coming up behind him. Here comes another heavyweight Ford in the field, another Patrick chassis entry. It's been around for quite some time. Toxic, out of the state of Maryland, being driven by Daniel Donnelly out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Kind of diverted from his path right there. I thought he was going to go up and take a shot at a stoppie, but he decided against it, or that's not what he meant to do. Nicely done. Little slap wheelie right there as he works the floor. Something I'm noticing too, he's not spending a lot of time driving around on each end of the building. He's just getting that truck turned around, whipping it back the other way and going after his next shot, going move to move. Carrying the inside tire right there, Donnelly. Gonna sling some soil here at Toxic. Thought he was gonna go for a donut. Seemed like he was getting a little more side bite than we expected there in the big black and green Ford out of the Old Line State. He will take over the lead here in freestyle, though, with that run. The 2014 Ford flying high here inside the Southern Illinois Center. More to come. Stay with us. Monsters of Destruction when we come back to DuQuoin, Illinois. We are back in DuQuoin, Illinois, ready for more freestyle action. Rod Schmidt driving Redneck Rampage. Yet another patent chassis with a long history. This machine actually was really brutally treated over the years as it served as Mike Hawkins' equalizer from its inception, and then purchased by a couple of different people who continued to run it as equalizer. Now, under this ownership, is Redneck Rampage, and it hasn't looked this good in a long time, and that's not taking anything away from Mike. He just really brutalized it. But fresh coat of paint on it, new body, and a little TLC, and it's out here running strong with the best of them. And across the track now, over the race lane sideways. I think he was hoping to give him a little bit more vertical air, but Schmidt not wanting to back down from a challenge, as he certainly served his time well behind the wheel of some of the company trucks like Monster Mutt and Gravedigger, and not afraid to brutalize a chassis himself, but so glad, if you get a chance to talk to him, so glad to be back behind the wheel of his own ride, really serving his purpose as one of the great privateers in this business. And he lays down an awesome shot right there. I don't think it's going to take over the lead, but a great run to start off his weekend here in the Southern Illinois Center. I like that wheelie coming back up over the race lanes as Lee Collins and crew dug the nice ramp out that they had, and now it's kind of a vertical hit. If you hit it hard enough, it'll throw you straight up in the air now as Tim Hall Jr. rolls out Jurassic Attack, taking his shot in the spotlight. You know, it's been interesting to watch this team grow over the years. They kind of sprung up in the last 8 years and really have made a name for themselves as they've acquired more and better equipment year in and year out, and hired some of the best talent in the business, some young drivers. They've had a few veterans cross their path, and it seems like every time they add something to their fleet, it becomes a championship level machine. Tim Hall now taking care of the independent side of Team Throttle Monster, and doing so very impressively. Nice air shot right there, and he did something when he came out for his first hit, where he brake checked and just drove down the backside of the stopping ramp. His technique sort of trademarked for him, and it's something, and we'll get another look at him, of course, tomorrow and Sunday, but later in the year on an outdoor track, we will be with him for more Monsters of Destruction action at the Indiana State Fairgrounds for the four-wheel and off-road jamboree out there. And we get a chance to see him a little bit faster, a little higher, a little more aggressive environment. But here in this little building, I mean, he is impressive. Definitely moving himself into the number one spot as his teammate rolls out Joe Yuri and Kamikaze to take his shot right here. Pitching it right up and over the popper upscale in the middle of the pad. Again, get that nice loft and just drive down the backside of that thing, and it's just so easy on parts. It feels a lot better in the cab. Doesn't look quite as wild, but it is very impressive to have that kind of control in the air. for a little more two-wheel action. Yuri on the front tires with the stoppie. Not quite able to grab the moonwalk back to the pad, but he's not done yet, it doesn't look like. And Yuri will wrap up an impressive run in the Ford Raptor out of Utah. With an ultimate run on the night. Solid effort, plenty of hang time in the run. Again, the two-wheel skills that he's showing off always up your total in freestyle as the fans will decide who takes the win. Right now, though, I do believe his teammate, Tim Hall Jr. in Jurassic Attack, is hanging on to the #1 spot with one machine to go. It's Cory Snider in Illuminator, who got a freestyle win here last year. He definitely knows this truck will work for him again. Just knocking the dust off of this thing as he took a few months hiatus from driving. Looking good here as he powers the front end up over the race lanes. Really keeping the momentum up nicely. And this is a guy that we saw on a track that was actually a little bit more mellow than this last year. He got some massive air off of one of the race lanes, so we know it's possible. Right there, though, that's what he was looking for. Getting a slap wheel, he had to set it down quick because the building closes up on you real fast. This has always been a floor that I think people who see it on camera have never been inside of this place kind of look at it and think it's a really giant floor, and it kind of looks like it from these angles. This place does get real tight in a hurry when you carry a lot of speed or get a lot of hang time. It's a beautiful facility. It's awesome for these trucks, but you do have to be careful of how close you get to the walls. Cory Snider wrapping it up in the Maryland-based Illuminator. Part of the Warp Motorsports team. Looking good here. Was he able to take the #1 spot away from Tim Hall? We wait to find out. A good run, though. Solid effort for him. I loved this right here, just powering the nose into the sky. It's something we have not seen him do in a little while, and I don't want to say he's been conservative behind the wheel of this heavyweight machine. He's definitely had some wild moments, but it looked like he was enjoying himself here so far this weekend, even struggling with a little issue with the blower, but right now finishes off a fun weekend for him. Picked up a racing victory, will not pick up the freestyle victory. That'll go to Tim Hall Jr., who also got our two-wheel skills win. Congratulations to both of our winners here tonight. Thanks for joining us. We will see you with more Monsters of Destruction next time from right here in DuQuoin, Illinois. Don't miss it.
This Back Channel Productions presentation has been brought to you by Gemini Associates. Whether you live upstairs, downstairs, or anywhere in general, we are here to serve.
You're gone, buddy. You're dead to me.